I have seen players come and go at Manchester United. I've listened to so many of them talk in interviews. Honestly, only few can be compared to Andre Onana. What a player with such a top mentality. Welcome to the United Sport. My name is Webb. You've probably noticed that Andre Onana is trending so much. You might wonder why. Well, it's because he has dropped a beautiful interview as he spoke to our legend Gary Neville. Now, Onana has been asked about, of course, a lot of things that as you expect from Gary Neville. And honestly, I keep saying it that being a journalist myself and mostly a host, as a journalist, I think being able to ask the right questions is so important if you're going to be a successful journalist. And honestly, Gary Neville is proving probably to be a better journalist, if I would call it that, than a footballer, especially when it comes to being the host. Well, the analysis can be questioned by some people at times, but his hosting, his the questions he asks are so perfect. They are very on point, and I love it. Now he was speaking to Andrew Onana and asked him a lot of questions, but Onana has amazed all Manchester United supporters, including me, with his mentality, his strength. And this is not the first interview he's proving this, but he just reaffirms what some of us already saw in his first interview before, and his positivity, saying it will not rain every day, but he hopes that the sun will shine soon. And Gary Neville tells him he hopes it shines on Sunday, on the 25th of May, when we take on Manchester City. But look, I don't even know why I'm surprised, honestly, because if you think about it, there are not so many players in the world who get the honor to go to the Barcelona Academy at 17, spend there about 4 or 5 years, go to Ajax, Inter Milan, and end up at Manchester United. It shows you how good they are. I think Andre Onana, at a younger age, was an exceptionally talented goalkeeper. He admitted himself he only left Barcelona when they signed. They promised him that he's going to be given a chance in the senior team, only for them to sign Ter Stegen and later another senior goalkeeper, Victor Valdez, I think. But he was there before them training with the Barcelona Academy. But the thing is, he speaks about Manchester United and the issues that everyone is going through at the club, how it has been a bad season, not just for himself. I spoke about it when I was at Carrington, just the weather alone. And I referred to Andrew Nana himself, and I said he was going through a difficult period at the time. But honestly, if you go to Carrington, if you stay around Carrington for 2 days during winter, for example, you would understand why it's exactly difficult. It's very difficult for certain players, especially the foreigners, to come and adopt. They need time. Andrew Nana says in his own admission that it took him 6 months to feel good, not to play good, but to feel good as a human being. And you see, you cannot play good if you're not feeling good. It took him 6 months, and he was, told players like Harry Maguire, these are English players, told him, "You're lucky it took you only 6 months. Some players take years. Some players take longer than that. It's not easy, guys. It's not easy. But honestly, but of course, when you're signed as a top goalkeeper or a top player, replacing one of the greats of the club in David De Gea, no one will care about that. But the reality is, I think he has grown and come of age. I dropped my last video, one of my last videos, asking people the top five, and many of you are including Andrew Onana in there in place of Scott McTominay. I honestly only included Scott because I was just trying to be real, because the guy's goals have been important. Imagine if you take 12 points away from Manchester United, where would we be? And those are 12 points won for us individually by Scott McTominay. I don't think there is a singular player, maybe with the exception of Bruno Fernandes, who won us more points than Scott McTominay. So that's important. But in terms of across the season, I think Andrew Onana has clearly been United's most improved player until by the time we came to the end of the season. Every day coming up and pulling out a save or two, it could have been battered, defending his teammates when asked about facing 600 shots and stuff. It shows you the leader he is, saying, don't blame the young players if something goes bad. Me, Bruno, Casemiro, Harry Maguire can take the criticism because we are senior players. We're used to this. We're mature. But he is coming out to protect the young players. That's character. That's not being selfish. That's the top mentality of a goalkeeper. He speaks for the club, talking about how all the staff are facing the same situation. I mean, the bad season affects all of them. They are all psyched up and ready to go and give it all. He cannot give pinpoint a problem like you expect as a professional. I didn't expect him to answer the question of what the problem is, why we play well against one team and all this month was against the next, against Coventry and stuff. But he says, it doesn't rain every day. It will shine sometimes. So and he knows that things won't be as bad. There has been, of course, a lot of reasons that why certain things have happened, but we cannot take those as excuses because we are Manchester United. I like how every after line, Androna keeps saying, "We are Manchester United," and coming out to reaffirm how he was excited. Gary never asked him whether it was so difficult for him to join Manchester United. He says it wasn't, without even thinking about it. He says it was so easy. I mean, it is Manchester United. This is one of the biggest clubs in the world. Leaving Inter, yes, I was in the Champions League final. Man United was struggling, but I don't care. It's Man United. They have come for me. Meanwhile, this is a boy who left Barcelona at his own will. He was a kid at 17, wanted to get more playing time, goes to Ajax, gets the playing time, and look where he has come. So people might wonder how Andre Onana ended up at Barcelona, but it shows you, rather at Man United, it shows you how good he was and why probably he has always been the fit player to come out there and replace David De Gea. Now, about the playing style, I liked how he approached the questions about the playing style, saying Inter Milan never used to play like this. It's not really, he adapts to what the manager, the tactics of the team, and what the manager wants him to play. That at Inter, they were not playing the way he played. He was not signed because of his footballing abilities. He's a goalkeeper, and the first job of a goalkeeper is to stop shots. But you adopt to what the manager or the team demands, what the team wants you to do. But he also explained the detail surrounding how this playing from the back thing works, and how you've got to be clever and smart. You've got to have options, and we've been at many a time we've been complaining why he takes so long to pass the ball, to shoot, make a decision where to take the ball. And he's saying at times he gets issues. You struggle to find who to give the ball because none of your players is in the right space. And then by the time someone opens themselves up, they have been closed. The goalkeeper has been closed by a striker, especially for teams that press with a striker, not a wide player. So by the time he's getting an option, the striker has closed you in, and then you either have to beat him off or pass sideways, or you're forced into kicking the ball up. But again, when someone is close, it's so difficult. So it's if you think about it, the intricacy now, it begins to open you up to why when certain key players are not in the team, it becomes difficult how we play. It's all dismantled. I think the style that Eric Ten Hag wants to play, the playing from the back style, is so fragile that one wrong move from a player will disorganize the whole unit. It's like they're like dominoes. Like if you knock one, they will all pour. So it's and I get it. I've seen it in games where Andronana stays with the ball a little too long, and he's forced, because he's being closed in. He's forced to pass the ball to a player in a tight situation, a Kobe Maino, and you wonder why did he take so long. But you think about it on a broader perspective. He didn't have options of where to take the ball, or the option came late when he was closed, but he has got to pass the ball to someone. So, but again, it goes back to who is he playing with. So you look at all those details, and it opens you up a bit to what exactly is being spoken about. But the team, of course, obviously, a player like Andronana would certainly back Eric Ten Hag because he's worked with him before. He brought him at the club and all. And for him, he was excited to join the team. I kept saying it here before, how I thought in the first years the problem of Andronana was in his head. He was playing in his head, the excitement of playing for Manchester United. He could not believe that it was happening until after 6 months, when he got used to the idea that he's actually the Man United number one. And that's when he started playing football. But that said, I'm digging into these all the interviews, the first Casemiro, now Andrew Nana, the flexibility with which Man United is giving, out these interviews of players openly, the manager, and you feel like Ineos is changing something. That you feel now that with Ineos, these players, there is a relationship between, they're building a relationship between us, the supporters, and the team, which was so important. We felt at some point that the team was a bit distant, like the Glazers didn't care, But you realize now that we keep getting information from players themselves. Interviews are shared, here and there. They keep distributing and letting players do interviews, which is good because imagine how many people hated on Andre Onana. But if you watch the interview of Andre Onana, I think you would be a witch not to be endeared to him. Only a witch wouldn't be endeared to him. You would listen to him and understand and see and give the guy a chance and say, you know what, this is the right goalkeeper to have. He will get better with time. His mentality, his leadership, his ownership, his background, everything points to a player who is made and crafted for Manchester United, or even from Man United, perhaps Real Madrid, the two biggest clubs in the world. That's the mentality of Andre Onana. So for me, it's a good thing to see, and you feel like the psyche these players have going into the FA Cup final. You might want to pray for Man City if you are a United hater. I feel like the mentality shown by Andre Onana and several other players, from before, from the manager, there is a way Man United players have psyched themselves up for the FA Cup final that I think honestly it is going to be, very good. I've had Fabrizio Romano, and I'll come back with another video about it. I've had Fabrizio Romano talking about, how the impact the FA Cup could have on Eric Ten Hag's job, and how they could, they would want to, they will monitor, Ineos will monitor the performance of the players vis-a-vis the job of Eric Ten Hag and see. So as if trying to say that the performance of the FA Cup will have an impact on whether he keeps his job or not. But whatever it is, you feel like these players might come out there. Most of these players, at least, especially the senior players being back, will come out there and pour their bodies on the line to ensure that Manchester United does something. Expect Bahrain probably to start. We'll talk about the team in detail, but you get the sense that the psyche is there, and when Manchester United is psyched up, they can beat even the mightiest of clubs. And to be honest, in all fairness, with all respect to Man City, they are way ahead of Man United. I don't think this Man City is the most unbeatable of Manchester Cities I've watched. I think we've got a good chance for as long as we psych ourselves up properly. If these players who just returned from injury are fit, even at 70%, I'm sure they can properly give these Manchester City boys a proper run for their money, because at least now they've got a motivation. And if that happens, well, perhaps their beloved Eric Ten Hag could be excused. My name is Webb. This is the United Hotspot. Subscribe. I will be back later because there is some developing transfer talk that is coming through. Wait for the next video. Subscribe.